What's up, guys? How we doing? Man, today's show is not something I like doing shows on. This is absolutely awful. Jerry Robin is suffering probably the worst injury that a racer could ever deal with. It was my biggest fear as a racer, and I know so many of my friends who dealt with this. So it's going to be a little different than your normal. I'll get to the 250s, but I just couldn't bring myself to break down the 250s with the mindset about what's going on with Jerry. And sometimes racing doesn't feel as important. And with what happened to Jerry, I have a hard time breaking down an East championship battle, which, listen, I know it's important. We all got to get back to it, but give me a second to reset. You guys know the sponsors that allow me to do this podcast, and I appreciate them very much. Nano-Xtreme, pain cream, so good. Complete Racing Solutions, Coach Rob, Precision Transport, good shipping company. Alias MX, they got the bicycle gear. You guys pretty much bought them out of their motocross gear. And Ride Strapped. I appreciate all these guys for being my sponsors, and I'm not going to drag on too long about them because I just want to talk about Jerry and the situation.
You need people like me so you can point your fucking fingers and say, that's the bad guy.
So Jerry Robin, man, this sucks. Jerry Robin suffered a back injury and a spinal injury, and has resulted in paralysis below his belly button. It's still early. Miracles happen, and God, I hope he ends up being able to walk and live a normal life. But this is the biggest fear of any dirt bike racer. We fear this more than death. I remember when I was racing, I used to think about, it crosses your mind because people around you, it happens to them, and it's there, but we all just block it out and go do our thing. We know this sport's dangerous. We know what can happen. Far too often, our fears are realized, and we see one of our friends, one of our riding buddies, every single one of you guys who's been in this sport for a long time, either are in a wheelchair or know a friend or two in wheelchairs. It's tough, man. It really is. First, I want to talk about Jerry. A lot of people don't understand how talented Jerry Robin is on a dirt bike. Yeah, they see him out there making mains, battling, and every once in a while he puts in that really fast time, and then all you fantasy players choose him, and then you get mad because he doesn't finish the way you want him to. Dude, the guy's a badass. A lot of people don't know Jerry Robin has overcome a severe, he had asthma really, really bad as a kid to where he probably wasn't even going to be able to do sports. And that's something that not a lot of people know about Jerry, and people talk about, if he just had the conditioning or speed. No. This dude is doing more with less than a lot of people on earth. This dude shouldn't even be a professional athlete. And to make it to the highest level where Jerry Robin has been making a living, damn, amazing. First time I saw Jerry was Loretta Lynn's 2013. He was riding in the C class, and he won by a long margin. That's not what made it cool. What made it cool was he went out there in 2013 on a 1985 CR250. I mean, he looked like Rick Johnson out there. He was flying. Ever since then, Jerry has worked his way up into the pro ranks. He's had some pretty good finishes, and he's shown flashes. I'm telling you, the things that Jerry can do on a dirt bike are amazing. And I truly believe it was the asthma that held him back from becoming a top star in this sport. But he still kept working through it and making a living and being a professional racer. And I don't think the average fan understands how hard these guys work. You see Cooper Webb, you see Chase Sexton, you see these top guys on factory teams. But the Cheyenne Harmons of the sport, the Jerry Robins, the Kyle Bittermans, these guys have to struggle. I mean, they are barely making by. They don't do this for money. If they wanted, they'd go get a job somewhere else doing something else, and they would actually make a lot more money. But it's the dream. It's doing what you love to do. And you guys, almost all you guys that watch my show, you all ride bikes or have ridden bikes. You get it. You know what I'm talking about. There's a passion that comes with this sport. There's a brotherhood. It's awesome. And if you have a small window where you can make a career, even if you're not doing well, man, all of us would cherish those moments. And Jerry Robin has had an amazing career. Maybe a miracle happens. Maybe he continues to race. Maybe he's fine. You never know, but it sure doesn't look that way, and it sucks. Far too often, these spinal injuries happen. That's it, man. The rest of your life is spent in a wheelchair. Brian Moreau is darn near a quadriplegic. Ernesto Fonseca, like there's so many different people that it's happened to in this sport, but we do it because of that passion, that love. And if you're a racer, you know what I'm talking about. We know these risks and we do it anyway. And you guys wonder why I fight so hard against Feld and MX Sports. It's for these guys. It's for that dream, that same dream that, makes us go out there and just take these unnecessary risks is being exploited. What happened to Jerry is something that, like I said, we all risk it every time we get on a dirt bike. Chad Reed's daughter, Kaya, just had a serious accident and came so close to being in a chair for the rest of her life. But like Ellie Reed said, the sport gives you so much positive and it teaches you so many things about life, about how to work hard. Actions have consequences. There's so many good things about this sport that knowing the dangers, we do it anyway. Earlier this season, another privateer, I don't know Chad Saltz, but Chad Saltz had a bike failure, and now he is also dealing with a very similar injury to Jerry. The rest of their lives might be changed because of one incident. And what I get so mad about is this sport, it's come a long way, and it has gone from we were thankful to have a place to race, we were thankful to have promoters that got us on a high platform so we could show this passion and spread the love of the sport that's given so many of us so many positive things. But what makes me so mad about these promoters is they don't care or understand that in an instant, one bad decision changes the rest of your life. Just one. And like looking at Jerry's crash, it wasn't spectacular like Austin Faulkner's was last year. We see so many crashes on the level of what Jerry did on Saturday that we kind of go numb to it. We forget that it can actually happen. Or maybe we just turn a blind eye. I'm not sure what it is that keeps us coming back for more, but we do. And it's a passion so much and so strong that it can be exploited. Think about how many just professional racers have ended up in wheelchairs, just the high level. I'm not talking about all the friends and family and different people on lower levels. The sport and the media have always shied away from this because they were so protective of, oh no, if parents find out this can happen, people will stop riding. No, we won't. We're going to keep riding. But the way they cover it and pretend and gloss it drives me nuts. Here's a list of some of the top pros that have ended up this way, just off the top of my head. Danny Chandler, Tony DeStefano, Mitch Payton, David Bailey, Pitt Beyer, Ernesto Fonseca, Ricky James, Brian Moreau, Mika Muskin, Jesse Nelson, Mark Ristori, Blake Morgan, Ernesto Fonseca, Blake Savage, James Marshall, Jimmy Button, Chad Sauls, and now Jerry Robin. A large part of the passion as why I battle for these riders is not because injuries won't happen. They'll absolutely happen. We are all aware of it, but I don't want to see it exploited. The ignorance involved in, maybe this is why I'm so hard on many parents that have never raced and never experienced it, because they can go out and tell their kids specific things to do, go hit that double. They don't understand one mistake and that kid, the rest of their life changes. Some of these parents that live through their kids, and maybe that's part of the reason I get triggered by them. Like most of you guys, I'm also a racer. I'm also somebody who's been through some pretty serious injuries. So when I see someone not knowing and pretending like, oh yeah, well, you just recover. They've never been through the recovery and how hard it is and the depression. And it's when you first get hurt, everyone's there to help you. After a little while, all those phone calls stop coming and you're stuck to deal with the injury. It gets brutal and it's very hard. And I just want to bring awareness to that. Nobody's going to stop racing dirt bikes. We're just not. We love it, but we are aware of the consequences, which is probably why I'm so mad at Feld for not getting rid of the tough blocks. How many times last weekend did we see a tough block kicked out on the track? How many accidents did they happen in one weekend? Every single one of those accidents could be the one. I know Jerry's had nothing to do with it. It only takes one hit to change the rest of their life. And all they have to do is pop for the new tough blocks. There's actually a solution. That's why I get so mad when they put advertisements and making money above rider safety and life-changing, like what has happened to Jerry Robin, Brian Moreau, and the lists of other people that have been injured in Supercross, I go back and I look at like Mitch Payton, Roger DeCoster, and these guys who have learned to just turn the other cheek and just go the other direction, and they just handle their own business instead of actually looking at it from a whole. They're the people who could actually make a difference and make some of these changes. Like I've said, you will never make this sport safe. You're racing dirt bikes over jumps at high speeds. It's never going to be safe. But if we can eliminate some of the smaller things, that would be much better. And the complete unawareness of Feld and their product to kick Road to Recovery out of the pits for, they're taking donations. Guys like Jerry Robin, they don't have these insurance plans that cover everything. They all have insurance, and they do a pretty good job at getting that covered. But if he never regains feeling, he's going to have to make changes to his house, car. There's so many little things that they don't actually think of. This is a life-changing thing for these guys. I want to see Feld and MX Sports treat these young racers chasing their dream like human beings. Treat them like the people they are. Treat them like they're your family. And the promoters have done an absolutely amazing job at taking this sport from where it was in the 80s, 90s, even early 2000s. It's still made a huge increase. They deserve to reap a lot of those financial benefits, and I've never argued that. But we're getting to the point where back then, for our dream, we all said, okay, we'll do what we got to do. We'll make money off sponsors and teams. We're glad that you're giving this sport that means so much to us a platform. So thank you. So we have overlooked so many things that promoters do. We did just want them to survive. It's not an easy job. It's one hell of an undertaking to go in, build a Supercross, arrange everything. The things that they do they're pretty good at it. They're really good at it, actually. But once the big money comes in, that's when the greed kicks in. Feld and MX Sports, they're not going to say, oh, hey, guess what, manufacturers? We're doing really well right now, so we're going to pay back to you guys. They're never going to do that. The teams are going to have to step up, get together, and demand that they be included in profit share and make this into an actual professional sport. The dream is to have professional motocross looked at on a level of some of the other sports like football, baseball, basketball. Those of us that grew up riding dirt bikes, nobody even knew what we did. Now, they've gotten to the point where they promoted it really well, and it's gotten out to mainstream a little bit, and they're about to sign a $200 million a year streaming package for SMX. It's time to stop treating this like an exhibition and treat these guys like the professional athletes they are, offer health coverage, profit sharing. And while these promoters are like, man, we don't want to just hand out money, you're not handing out money. You're investing in the product. If you do this, every sport in the history of sports that's done this, when they finally come together with the players and they start working together, that's when they grow to that next level, when they're looking out for each other. Right now, it's all racers and teams protecting the series. Meanwhile, the series has gotten to a point where it needs to protect them a little bit. And I was going to do the video today about the 250s, and I would love to break that down. But honestly, after the Jerry Robbins stuff, I just didn't feel like it. It didn't seem relevant. When somebody's going through something this big in life, we all have to move on. But at the same time, man, I just didn't feel like it. I'm going to have to reset before I do my 250 breakdown, because it doesn't mean much right now when you think of the big picture and what this means for Jerry and all the Chad Sauls and all the other people who've gone through these life-changing events. This won't change my love for this sport. I still have a love for the sport, but it has a dark side, and it needs to be addressed or it will rear its head and we see more of this stuff. You'll never cut it completely out, but let's eliminate the stupid. Let's make sure that the dream is there. So these riders who sacrifice everything and risk everything, that there is a professional career, health coverage, and things on the back end for these guys. So many of these people take us along their journey, and it's so fun. It's so inspiring and does so much good. And I know somebody out there is going to go, well, they're not making you go race. No, they're not. They're not. And you don't have to. Like I said, it's this passion, this sport, and this love, and this thing that we are all willing to risk everything and sacrifice everything for. It would sure be nice if a promoter looked at the riders and said, you know what? They do a lot for us also. They have helped us get to this point where we're going to have a $200 million a year streaming deal. They are the product. Let's make sure they're healthy too. And the motocross community is a good community. If you want to donate to Chad Sauls, Jerry Robin, or any of the other riders who've been injured, Road to Recovery does a great job at getting with their families, telling them what to expect, walking them through the whole scenario. For them, life changes. It's just different. And it's nice to have the good people at Road to Recovery to kind of help guide them, just with advice, insurance, rehab, little stuff like that you don't really see on paper. Yeah, money absolutely helps, but they help them with so much more. So if you want to donate to Jerry or Chad or any of the other injured riders,